I'm Evelyn Risley for TechCrunch TV, and joining us today is Devin Breeze. He's the Chief Architect for Intuit. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Intuit is known as the company that has a software like TurboTax that you can buy in the store, but you guys are trying to prove that you're a lot more than that. For example, you've been in the mobile payment space for 10 years or so, right? Let's talk about how you're trying to transform or rebrand yourselves.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing. We're a company that has been transforming ourselves since, away from this big box, buy the software at Costco, go home and install it, since the late 90s when we first launched Web TurboTax. And yet the world still thinks of us in these terms. The reality is, in 2010, we find that of our $3.5 billion in revenue, a full 60% of that is coming from online stuff coming out of our data centers, and $1 billion of that is a pure SaaS software play, with a healthy margin.
Why do you think there's been this gap or a failure to get that message out?
Well, we're a very customer-focused company, and even today, well over 80% of our sales, root cause is word of mouth. Right? I mean, our products sell themselves. We focus on our customers, and we've always kind of relied on our customers to tell our story for us. And in this day and age, I think that's not good enough anymore.
Now, one of the places where you guys are really trying to beef up your presence is in the mobile payments and mobile consumer space in general. Now, three of the products I'd love to talk about is your Mint Real World Price Compare, this other application called Dealhood, which is not out yet but still in kind of the beta mode, and recently Mophie, which came out in Apple stores this week. Now, to start off with Mint Real World Price Compare, can you talk about what exactly that product is and how it's supposed to augment the consumer experience for Mint users?
Yeah, exactly. This is a product that I'm really excited about because I think it offers kind of a whole new lens in terms of what's going on in your local neighborhood, what's available to you, how much people are spending, et cetera. There's a lot of information, a lot of different kinds of sites and available to people where they can go and get other people's opinions about local merchants, this restaurant versus that restaurant, this bike shop versus that bike shop. But because we are in the business of aggregating data on behalf of our customers that actually give insight into where they are spending their money and how much they're spending, we can look at that data and we can base information off of that. So for example, all of this information that's coming in terms of your spending from your banks and your credit cards, et cetera, give us a really clear picture in any given neighborhood of, for any given restaurant, what the average ticket is.
So all this information, is it coming in from Mint users, or do you have a wider pool of data you're drawing from?
So Mint users, Quicken users, and also another thing that people oftentimes don't understand about Intuit is we're actually the engine behind a huge number of financial institutions in North America. So for a huge, about a third of the population, they go to their local credit union, they log in, and the experience they're getting in terms of their online banking is served out of Intuit data centers.
Now, another product launch that isn't quite out yet is Dealhood. Now, I'd love to know when you plan to roll it out. And for this standalone app, how do you deliver deals to consumers?
So Dealhood, similar concept. Again, local, tell me about your spending habits. Tell me, sort of what you're interested in. Do you prefer, are you more of kind of like a, Whole Foods, Henry's, kind of grocery store, you're more of like a Vons type of grocery store.
So there's actually a series of questions that a user goes through?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Almost like a hunch kind of way.
Yeah, but very quick, very concise, right to the point. And then it's about locality. It's about where you are. Are you near this? Are you near that? And again, this is something where if you think forward about, how this can work with the millions of small businesses that use our solutions and that we provide websites to today, you can see how this stuff can tie together in the future.
There's a lot of other check-in services, LBS games like Booyah and Foursquare that are trying to bring deals to the consumer. And so you check in, you find deals. Why did you decide to strip out game mechanics, where that's an avenue everyone else is trying to go towards?
Well, I wouldn't say we've consciously said that this is not something that we're interested in. I think we're a very customer-focused company. We're all about V1, launch and learn, go iterations. And part of our customer-driven innovation methodology is really about trying to get down to the smallest possible solution to the most critical problem and get that into the hands of customers as quickly as possible and get feedback. So you don't want to read the tea leaves too much in terms of what our initial offering does in terms of what we're thinking longer term.
And what kind of deals can we see through this platform? What kind of relationships do you currently have with vendors out there?
Well, right now, we've been working with some of the folks that are already aggregating deals across small businesses and larger vendors. But I think, going forward, we're really going to come back to sort of brokering that relationship, brokering that dialogue between small businesses and consumers. We think, it's pretty easy. Well, I don't know if it's pretty easy, but it's relatively straightforward for big business today to sort of reach out there and get their message and even somewhat manage their relationship with customers. But that takes technology and it takes infrastructure and it takes marketing heft, and it's very hard for small businesses to do that.
I think that's kind of the key to the success of an app like Dealhood, is being able to deliver the kind of deals and coupons that consumers are going to really want, right? So what kind of resources are you putting towards connecting with small and large vendors?
So if you look at, this is an early product. We're still in, just a prototype, so I can't go into too much detail. We try to be careful about that. But if you think about, who we are and what kinds of markets we're in and how we serve, small businesses, individuals, the different ways in which we serve small businesses and individuals, sure, we'll be interested in working with a lot of the bigger vendors and, trying to give them more access to consumers. But that's a world that they're not unfamiliar with. The focus, I think, over the longer term will really be on the small businesses and trying to create that richer dialogue.
Yeah. Now, one of the most exciting products I think you have in your lineup today is this Mophie. It's a hardware and also software solution for vendors, small businesses, and it operates in a similar way that Square does, right? Actually, with lower fees, 1.7% or so. So, talk about the rollout of this product. You just got into Apple stores. What have you been seeing so far on the ground?
Yeah, so this is really exciting. I actually have this product here with me today. So this is a product that we're now selling inside of Apple stores, and basically it's a fully integrated hardware solution that allows people to take credit card payments right with their iPhone. Now again, people don't know that much about Intuit. We've been in the payments business for almost 10 years, right? And we've launched mobile payments, the ability to take credit card payments and check payments using the new check regulations locally for small businesses, and we've had that running for over a year. But this I'm really proud of because it's this really beautiful new form factor. Really, it just sort of looks like a case that slides right over your iPhone, but down here in the bottom you have a fully encrypted magnetic card reader.
So this case, this hardware is $199, so that's kind of the upfront cost for a vendor. So even though it's kind of cheaper in the long run with the rates being more competitive than Square, there is some initial upfront cost.
Well, what you'll find is any merchant account solution that involves a credit card reader of any kind has some sort of upfront cost, and sometimes these costs are amortized over a higher subscription service than we charge, and sometimes they're upfront costs. There's different models, but that goes with the game.
There are so many different forms of mobile payments now for small businesses. How are you trying to market yourself against your competitors?
Well, this kind of goes back to something I said up front, which is the people who do the absolute best marketing for Intuit are our customers, right? And so, we're very proud to be in Apple Store, and our partner Mophie has helped us put together an absolutely beautiful solution. But at the end of the day, for us, it's not about marketing strategy. It's about producing a product that just works and that customers are so delighted with that they actually go out of their way to tell their friends.
So seeing how right now, Square has a lot of the hype, surrounding this type of form factor for mobile payments, what would you tell a consumer as to why they should use this product over the competitors?
Well, one of the things we're really focused on here is making it drop dead simple, right? So the setup on this thing in terms of applying for your merchant account is you download the app, you do everything here on your phone, you don't have to go elsewhere, and within 15 minutes, you're going to get an answer in terms of how you're set up. And then, one of the things that merchants have to deal with in the payments business is it's all about fraud management. And because of that, every merchant who accepts credit cards has varying limits in terms of what kind of a transaction they can accept. And if they can't go above it, they just simply can't take the payment, right? And this is all based on this complex calculus with the credit card companies and the payment networks and all the rest of it. And one of the things that we're doing here is we're taking a very fine-grained data-based approach in our back-end payment networks, which we've been at for over 10 years, so that we're watching, transaction by transaction, we're adjusting the risk profile of a merchant, so there's no baked-in limit like you'll find with some of the other solutions that are out there. You just can't go beyond that. It's on a merchant by merchant basis, and it changes over time depending on the nature of the transactions they're doing. So it'll normalize very quickly to something that makes sense for any given merchant, whether that be relatively low because they don't do a lot of transaction over that limit, and that protects them and it protects the whole payments network, or relatively high because they do a small number of very expensive transactions. We think that's a big advantage over a lot of the other solutions.